Two friends meet in the corner. One's a tramp, one's a millionaire. Tramp says, "You've done well for yourself." He says, "Yeah." To go on. I walked into a pub the other day. I see an horse drinking at the bar. They're drinking lagers, whiskies, vodkas, gins. Even standing on one leg and twisting around and going back down again. And drinking the same drinks again. I said to the barman, "That's amazing, that horse." He said, "Yeah, that horse is amazing." He said, I said to the barman, "I'll bet you £10 I can make that horse laugh." He said, "You're on, £10. Went up to the horse, whispered his ear, and the horse started laughing. Went back to the barman, collected me £10. I said, "Look, I'm a fair man, I am. I'll give you a chance to win your money back. Double or nothing." The barman said, "Fair enough. What do you want to do?" I said, "I bet I can make it cry." He said, "You're on." I put his money down, I put mine down. Went up to the horse, whispered in his ear, and he started crying. Went back to the barman, collected money, just went to walk out. The barman said, "Hey, mate, before you go, how did you make it laugh?" I went over to him and said, "I got a bigger doodah than you." He started laughing. The barman said, "How did you make it cry?" I turned around and said, "I showed you." An old lady wins on the lottery. She goes to the pub to celebrate. She goes up to the barman and says, "Can I have 2 whiskies?" One she drinks, one she pours down on knickers. 5 minutes later, she comes up to the bar again. Says, "Barman, can I have 2 whiskies?" One she drinks again, and one she pours down on knickers. This goes on about several times. The barman said, "Love, I don't want to be too nosy, but why'd you drink one and pour one down your knickers?" "Well," she said, "son, I just won 40 million on the lottery. And that's the only cunt I'm sharing it with." A millionaire and a tramp meet on a street corner. The tramp said, "You've done well for yourself." I said, "Yeah, I've done well for myself." He said, "Do you remember last year? Yeah, we was both standing on this corner. Well, I walked off and I found some lino. I sold that lino. With that, I broke some more lino. Now I'm a lino millionaire." Tramp said, "Bloody hell, you've done well." He said, "Look," the millionaire said, "here's £10. You go and buy some lino. And I'll meet you back here in a year, and you'll be a lino millionaire." So with that, the tramp walks off, buys £10 of lino, takes it up, and they meet. A year later, they meet. The lino's a double lino millionaire, and the tramp's still a tramp with a busted nose, broken arm, and 2 broken legs. The millionaire turns around and says, "What happened?" He says, "With that £10 you gave me, I went and bought some linos, you said. Went up to this door. The doorbell was a bit high, so I put the lino between my legs. A man answered, and I said, 'How would your wife like this up a back passage?'" Husband and wife indoors, really going on the job. Husband turns and says, "Oh, you're beautiful, love." All of a sudden, he has an heart attack and dies. Well, the wife's feeling a bit lonely because she likes her sex. So what she decides to do before she buries him, she cuts off his doodah and nails it to the floorboards. So every night she's up and down on these doodah like good and really enjoying herself. Lo and behold, she gets to call the electrician in. She's got a shooting in the light. And as he's fixing the light, he happens to notice through the crack of the door the wife's jumping up and down on this doodah. Well, he thought, "I'll have some of that." So the following day he comes back, removes the doodah, jumps onto the floorboards and puts his doodah up, waiting for the woman to come. The woman comes straight into her room, chops the doodah straight off the floor and says, "We're moving." Man comes home from work, splitting headache. His wife's expecting a baby. He sees some tablets on the side of a glass of water. So he takes the tablets, drinks the water and goes to bed. In the middle of the night, there's a big bang. The wife shouts up, "My baby, my baby." He says, "Sod your baby, my bollocks has just gone through the window." Mary reaches the gates of heaven. With that, she goes up to God and says, "God, I don't understand you. You let me win 40 million on the lottery. You let me buy all the things I want to do, a dream home, dream cars, dream holiday. And 3 weeks later, you let a bus run me over. I don't understand it." God replied, "Is that you, Mary? I didn't notice you with your new hairdo." Martin has the fastest dog in town. I go up to him and say, "How fast is your dog?" He says, "You see this track, it can do it in 22 seconds. He said, "Beat that." I said, "My dog just done a shit on the floor. Lick that." Airplane pilot says over the town, "I'm sorry for the delay in landing, passengers, but one of our 4 engines has stopped working." 5 minutes later, he comes on the tannoy again. He says, 2 more of the engines are not working on our 4-engine plane. One of the passengers jump up and says, "If the other one packs in, we'll be up here all day." Lion goes up to a cheetah in the jungle. It roars, "Arr!" He says, "Who's the meanest tiger in the jungle? Who's the meanest man?" She says, "You are. You're the meanest. You're the hardest." And he walks up to an elephant, he roars again, he says, "Who's the hardest?" With that, the elephant gets hold of him, throws him against a tree, and treads on his head. And the lion says, hang on, there's no need to get angry about it. Picks up American tourist in his car. The American tourist says, "Take me to Tower Bridge." On his way down the Tower Bridge, he happens to notice a bridge. He says to the black cab driver, "What bridge is that?" The black cab driver said, "That's Chelsea Bridge, sir." He said, "Yeah." The American tourist said, "Yeah. How long did that take to build?" He said, "That took about 2.5 years, sir." He said, "Back in America, we'd have built that in a year and a half." Further down the road, they come up to another bridge. The American tourist says, "What bridge is that?" "That's Vauxhall Bridge, sir." "How long did that take to build?" "Well, it took about a year, sir." "Well, in our country, we would have done that in 6 months." Further along the road, they come to the Houses of Parliament. The American tourist said, "What's that?" He said, "I don't know, sir. I weren't there yesterday." A parachute instructor jumps out of an airplane. His parachute does not open. So as he goes crashing down to the ground, he sees a woman coming up. The woman says to him, "Do you know anything about cookers?" He says, "No." "Do you know anything about parachutes?" Parachute instructors teach 3 Indians how to jump out of an airplane. So after 6 weeks of training, they're up for the first jump. As it comes to the first jump, 2 of the Indians jump out. The 3rd Indian is getting too worried. He don't want to jump. He's a little bit scared about the gods in the air and how their religion goes to land and sea and things have passed. So the jumping instructor says, "Look, I'll tell you what you do. Let's think of a famous Indian. Say Geronimo. He'd like to see you jump out of there. So all you got to do is when you jump out, shout Geronimo and everything will be all right." So the Indian said, "You sure that's the thing to do?" "Yeah," the parachute man said, "Yes, the thing to do." So as he jumps out the airplane, the instructor shuts his door. 5 minutes later, there's a knock on the door. And there's this Indian waving his hands. And he shouts out to the instructor, "What was the name of that Indian again?" The Irishman goes in and happens to note a pound note on the table. He picks it up. And all of a sudden the voice says, "I'm the ghost of Annie Mabel. That pound note stays on that table." And he runs out. The Englishman goes in. He notices a pound note on the table. He picks it up. And the voice says, "I'm the ghost of Annie Mabel. That pound note belongs on that table." And he runs out. The Scotsman, he goes in. He sees the pound note, he puts it up and puts it straight in his pocket. Then the voice said, "I'm the ghost of Annie Mabel. That pound note belongs on that table." He said, "Bollocks, I'm the son of Davy Crockett, and that pound note's staying in my pocket." I was driving my car the other day through town, wife nagging in here, nagging this, nagging that, nagging this. For 10 or 20 minutes it kept on and on. Then all of a sudden it went quiet. 10 minutes later, the police pulled me over and said, "Excuse me, sir, a woman fell out your car about 10 minutes back there." Oh, I said, "Thank God, thank God, thank God." The cop said, "Well, you getting so excited, sir?" He said, I said, "I thought I went deaf." I was walking down the road the other day. I walked straight into a signpost. Oh, did that hurt? I thought to myself, what a stupid place to put a signpost. Further on down the road, I walked into a lamppost. I thought again, what a stupid thing to put in the middle of the street. Further on, I tripped over the curb, fell flat on my face, blood everywhere. I thought to myself, that's it, I've had enough now. So I got some paint from across the road and I started painting a cross in the road. Police come and cuffed me and said, and I said, "What you doing, sir?" I said, "I'm crossing the road." My mate said to me the other day, "What would you do if you see a battle tank coming down the road?" I tell him and I said, "I'll destroy it with my battleship." He said, "Where'd you get your battleship from?" I said, "The same place you got your battle tank." I was feeling a little bit generous the other day, so I brought the wife a bunch of flowers. Took them home for her, give them to her. She quickly ran upstairs and stripped up, laid on the bed and opened the legs as wide as she could get them. I said, "What are you doing now, love, for?" She said, "That's for the flowers." I said, "Ain't you got a vase?" Mankind's a funny thing, isn't it? We all like to know where we come from. My wife said to me today, it wasn't the apple on the tree that started mankind, it was the pear in the garden. A fat woman goes to the doctors. Says to the doctor, "Has my test come back yet?" The doctor says, "Yeah, you've got TB. She replied, "What, thrombosis?" "No." He said, "Tits on the belly." My dad's a funny old sod. Drove his car into the River Thames the other day. I said, "What'd you do that for?" He said, "I wanted to dip the lights." There was a robbery in the high street the other day. 3 men come running out of the bank. They started cleaning the road in front of their car. A police spokesman said later they made a clean getaway. They just found out where the Pink Panther comes from. Durham, 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 Durham. My doctor's a bit of a comedian. I asked him, can you help me out? He asked me which way I come in. I said, no, Doc, let's be serious about this. You turned around and said, I got water on the brain. What's the cure? He said, a tap on the head. Tarmac goes into a pub, goes up to a pavement and says, I'm hard, I am. I'm well hard. And all of a sudden, a bit of red tarmac walks in. The first bit of tarmac goes and shits itself in the corner. Payne's like, I thought you said you was hard. He said, I am hard. But that's a psychopath. Started to clean the loft out the other day with the grandmother. Mind you, she is good to the children. Police put up a motorist doing over 100 miles an hour. I said to him, so, excuse me, sir, do you know he's doing about 110 miles an hour? He said, that's impossible. I only left home 10 minutes ago. Me and the wife were in the car the other day. She was knitting. I said, you can't knit near, love. She said, I can knit now. I said, you can't knit near, love. I said, you can knit, but you're not knitting in there, love. She said, why can't I knit now? I said, because you're driving. She said, oh, damn. You made me miss a stitch. I was driving down the country lane the other day, and all of a sudden the police pulled me over. They turned around and said to me, sir, sir, we had to pull you up, sir. One of your tail lights are not working. Oh, no, bloody hell, oh, no. Jesus Christ. The officer told me, it's not that bad, sir. You only got one light out. I said, where's the caravan? A man cashes VD, goes to the watchman, gets his doodah out and slams it on the table. He says, can you do anything with that? I said, sorry, sir, we only men washes in here. He said, well, put 2 hands on it then. A lottery winner says to his angry friend, if I give you £1 million, what would you do with it? He said, I'll do a lot of damage. A Swedish woman and an Englishman decided to get married. After the wedding, they held a reception. And just before they were carrying the stuff in to the reception and all that, the Englishman cuts his finger and replies, fuck it, fuck it. The Swedish woman said, what's fuck it? He went, has to cut the cake. So as the reception went on towards the end of the night, it come the time to cut the cake. And the Swedish woman said, now to fuck the cake. And the victor quickly replied to him and said, you're going to fuck the cake, I'm going to dangle my balls in the custard. British Rail found with no expenses spared a way to stop their trains running late. They have changed the timetables over. They do apologize for the timetables running late. Neighbour rings neighbour up at work and said, I got some bad news to tell you. Your wife was hanging out some washing and she accidentally hung herself. The neighbour said, oh, stranger around here. Man goes to the doc and says, Doc, what's the trouble? The doc turns around and says, you have to give up drinking, smoking, and sex. The man said, well, I live now, man. I was sitting there the other night with the wife and the UFO landed outside my house. They knocked on my door. 2 ugly little monsters I've ever seen in my life. But we let them in, you know, as Americans, we like to get to know people. So as we're sitting there, as the night drew on, they turned around and said they landed on this planet to have sex with us. So, fair enough, we were in the mood, so we packed up one of the separate rooms. My wife was telling me the next day that every time they were in their room and they were having sex, he kept me. Man decides to swim all the way to China. Gets to China, finds a special spider he's looking for, puts it in the matchbox swing zone, gets home, spider gone. And he does, grabbing his ear. I said, why did he keep grabbing his ear? He told me it was to make his penis larger. I said, that's funny that is, love, because she kept grabbing my ear. 2 men walking down the road, one of them finds a wage packet. His mate says, you're a lucky git you are. He said, lucky? You want to see how much tax they've stopped? Husband and wife sitting at home. Wife decides to make a cup of tea. She comes into the front room with 2 teas in her hand and a cake on her head. Her husband looked puzzled but didn't say nothing. An hour later, she goes and makes another cup of tea. This time, she's got a pie on her head. Husband says, why have you got a pie on your head? She says, we've run out of cakes. Can't really say I got any more to say to you now, but thank you for listening.